all three schools independently wrote focus priorities. That was on the Plato Day 1. And then we shared and discussed together exactly what we wanted to achieve and refined a draft version question as a team. The consensus was to include links to other networks and across the schools to collaboratively improve our teacher practice.
I guess we, like the other group, we all went together on that first Plato Day and didn't know what we would be doing, and sort of sat down and they said, what is your action research project going to be about? And we all sort of came up with some ideas together, and we went back to our school and we discussed with our assistant principal and some other staff what they thought it might look like, and we went back to the other schools and came up with a question that we thought could really look after everybody within our group, even though we have the three schools and lots of different needs.
And I think one of the most important things for us to include was not just things that would cover our own school, but making connections to other schools in the network as well.
Yeah, because then it's that real collaborative learning that we are really trying to encompass in
Right, well, we developed our research question before and during and after the application writing process for TPL. Before, in discussion with individually and with each other and with our principal, and then during the application writing process, and after, when we had a meeting of all the schools at our first Plato Day, which was before the TPL started. It was in December last year.
We first met with our assistant principal to have a look at our current practice and how we could get the E5 model to enhance that. So we already have a peer observation protocol at school where we go and view other teachers and try and learn new things from them. So we introduced the peer observation model where we would choose our buddy and then go and watch them teaching and use the performance sheets that we've made up for each domain and highlight and enhance that in our school. Then we developed some PD for the staff so that we could help them unpack what E5 was and all the domains and what it meant. We focused on further developing our collegiate visit procedures and making it a little more formal. We asked each staff member to have a goal from E5 for their PRP and to do their collegiate visit and then reflect upon their practice in relation to that goal. And then we got together as a staff and asked them for feedback on the process.
Well, we started off with just Kiralee and I doing the Japanese triad model. So we started off delivering a lesson, giving each other feedback, reviewing the lesson, delivering it again to another class, having another reflection process, and then finally delivering what we thought would be the ideal lesson.
The exemplar lesson.
Yeah. So we did that a number of times with just the two of us before we took it to the rest of the staff.
And then when we went to the rest of the staff, we actually did give them, we released staff because we didn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable with this sort of new process, because we didn't have collaborative classroom visits as a process in our school. It was brand new to them. So we released them and actually spent some time with them planning the lesson that they might do and looking at the domain that they wanted to focus on and the teacher capability that they wanted to focus on. Then we went in and viewed their practice, and then we got back together at the end and had some discussions about it. And I guess when we did the triads, we also allowed teachers, because we taught other teachers' classes, so they were part of the process at the time. They were like the third person in our triad. They came in and viewed the lesson that we were taking so that they could see this isn't a scary thing. This isn't something you have to fear. This is actually something that can help improve your teaching.
And finally we had a meeting with the rest of the TPL teachers in the network. We had a look at some video of the different schools teaching lessons, and we reviewed that as a network so that we were all on the same page and we had the same idea about what each level actually meant and what we were actually seeing in the teaching.
We began initially with investigating the model, and breaking it down and creating documentation that we could use in our observations and things like that. And the next step was to devise the behaviour observation checklist, which we could take into classrooms and use in that sense. Once we felt confident with that, we went into classrooms and did observations.
We modelled the observations ourselves because we had the prior knowledge of the model, and teachers were then to engage the teachers in the process. Their role was then to observe at the behaviours that we displayed, and then there would be a reflection process at the finish.
Really, after unpacking each domain, we're now much more focused on achieving the level 4 teaching. I understand that it's not always possible to be teaching at level 4 every single minute of the day, and I think that's far too much pressure to put on a teacher as well. So and even level 1 is great teaching practice. So now I'm much more aware of how I can further improve my teaching, and just to be able to look at the levels and go, okay, that's where I am, that's now what I need to do. It's a lot clearer and it's a lot more of a structured process.
For me personally, when I first looked at the document, I thought, some of these things are going to be really difficult. I have grade 1s. They're 6 years old. I don't know that you're going to be able to reach level 4 often with some of these things. And what I really discovered through practicing this process is that you just need to look at level 4 for for 6-year-olds is different than level 4 for 12-year-olds, and it's different than level 4 for 16-year-olds, and you have to be really aware of your own teaching.
I think what's done for me is it's probably made me realise about how, working out how kids learn, and a lot of the stuff that you take for granted sometimes. You think that you're setting up expectations and shared norms, for argument's sake, at the beginning of the year, but you've got to keep going back to that every time, and it's not always just the behavioural things. A lot of it is actually what you're expecting to see in their work, and what's already been established, and what you've got to continue to do.